The Institute of Internal Auditors presents All Things Internal Audit.
Hello, I'm Atara J. In January 2025, the new Global Internal Audit Standards will be in effect for all quality assessments. On this episode of All Things Internal Audit, Harold Silverman, Senior Director, CAE and Corporate Governance Engagement, speaks with Warren Hersh, Director of Quality Services, about options for implementing and successfully conforming to the new standards.
Warren, thanks for joining me today to discuss what I think is a really important aspect of the new Global Internal Audit Standards, and that's the importance of having a strategy for quality assessments in 2024.
Well, Harold, you know that our motto at Quality Services is to elevate internal audit quality around the world. So this is very timely for us to be here.
So Warren, I've known you for a good number of years as volunteers, even before we both worked on staff together. And I know you've got a passion for standards and internal audit and quality assessments. But could you share for the audience, who don't know you as well, sort of what your background is in terms of quality and the standards?
Sure, Harold. I've been involved as a volunteer probably since the early 2000s. Spent 11 years on the Standards Board. I spent 3 years on the Public Sector Committee. I was the Chief Audit Executive for New Jersey Transit and the interim CFO for 6 months, and as well as the president of the Philadelphia chapter. So I think it's an honor now to be working in this area, quality services with the IA, because quality was always my passion, being involved in the Standards Board. So now I get to assess what departments are doing and provide my expertise, and this helps fulfill my passion to help elevate internal auditing around the world.
And I appreciate that. I think that's the exciting part, is we get to do that on a day-to-day basis. So let's start with some of, what are some of the implications of the new standards on quality assessments?
Well, the big thing will be the focus on performance. So currently, quality assessments focusing on conformance with the standards, and then the new standards focus on performance. So that will make quality assessments a little more complex going forward in 2025 when the standards become effective.
Great points. But I think you're just scratching the surface here, correct? What are the other key requirements that should be considered?
Key things for the new standards are that the board must be involved in selecting the quality assessor, the qualifications of the quality assessor. There needs to be a strong quality assurance and improvement program in place, and must be documented and strongly documented for when the assessors come in. So that's all involved in assessing performance as we move into the quality assessments.
I know there are some other requirements as well, including assessors having credentials and more. But I wanted to get to I think is a really basic but very important question. Because performance is a new focus, how can a department demonstrate effectiveness to a QA assessor?
Good question, Harold. So the way I see it, in my opinion, the quality assessors would use the following items and areas to assess performance. One would be the performance measures that are in place. So, for example, the performance measures have to demonstrate performance, not just measure things. So a measure that would show the number of audits completed in the audit plan, that would not tell me how well they're performing. It has to be things like we did at New Jersey Transit. We were responsible for auditing contracts. So one of the things we measured is the recoveries on those contracts. That would be one measure of performance. The other things we look at a strategic plan that the internal audit department has in place and the things that they're focusing on. We look at the alignment of the audit committee and the IA charters to see if they're focusing on key performance mandates from the board. We would look at the alignment of the internal audit department's strategy and goals with the company's strategy and goals. We look at post-engagement questionnaires that an audit department may issue. So for example, New Jersey Transit, one of the first questions we asked on a post-engagement questionnaire, did internal audit add value to your department? That would only be one indicator. We also would look at the surveys that are done prior to a quality assessment of the key stakeholders. And that would be one element. And another one would be interviews that we have with key stakeholders during a quality assessment. So it's not just one thing. It's a whole bunch of things that'll come into play as far as coming up with a conclusion on the performance of the department.
So Warren, thank you very much. And that's a great list. You talked about performance measures, and you gave a great example of what you used at New Jersey Transit. You work with the assessors all the time. As they dive into those metrics, what are they going to be looking for?
Well, Harold, it's a very, very specific answer of it depends. So, it's different in every situation. So one size does not fit all for performance metrics. Like I said, our mandate was to look at contracts. Another department, maybe the mandate is to look at the results from their SOX program. That would be some indication of performance. So there's a lot of things that you look at in their whole QAIP program and their scorecard, and it would be basically a judgment of whether that proves how well a department is performing. So there needs to be both qualitative and quantitative metrics. So like I said, it has to be metrics that are specific to performance, not just quantitative, but they may not mean anything. So there have to be things that really show that. And again, not being very specific about it, because it does depend on your organization. And it's not only the metrics, it's all the other stuff I just talked about too. Interviews, perceptions, post-engagement questionnaires, things like that. It could be a follow-up on implementing recommendations. It could be the risks, the percentage of risks developed or addressed in the audit plan. So there's a whole lot of things that can be there. The bottom line, that one size does not fit, it all fits all, and then you have to take it all as a like a bowl of soup or whatever you want to call it to figure out how good it tastes.
That sounds like it's going to be a pretty spicy bowl of soup.
There you go.
I think that's great, because I know that one of the things that we hear from CAEs is they want to be able to apply judgment. That there is never a one size fits all for internal audit functions. And I know you have a passion around it. We can go into a lot more detail and keep people here all day. But let's get into some of what I think the CAE is looking for on the bottom line. Looking at quality assessments under the new standards. And from your experience in quality services, how are clients handling this here in 2024?
Well, that's interesting, because as you know, the new standards will be effective in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing is that a lot of departments and people that we're talking to are choosing to accelerate their quality assessment into 24. This allows them to do the quality assessment under the old standards or the current standards. And also what we're seeing now is we're talking with a bunch of clients now about doing a twofer, so to speak, in 24. They're doing a quality assessment in 24, even if it's due in 25 or beyond, just to have it done against the current standards. And then at the same time, we're doing a gap assessment against the new standards. So we would do it as two engagements. We do the quality assessment, let's say in week 1, we do the gap assessment in week 2, and there's two separate reports will be issued. The report on the quality assessment would have the current generally conforms type of rating, and the gap assessment will be a detailed report of what needs to be put in place to get to the new standards, so they have some time to put it together. Now, a key point here is that if you do your quality assessment in 24, now the clock starts over. So you have 5 years to say you're in conformance with the standards, even though you may not be in conformance with the new standards as of yet. However, you can still say you're in conformance with the standards, and then you have 5 years, up to 5 years basically, to do the next QA. Now, the other thing that's happening is some of our clients are choosing, I don't know if they're gluttons for punishment or whatever they are, but they're choosing to have us do a gap assessment in 24, early 25. So they want to do the QA against the new standards. So they want to determine and prove to the board that they're in conformance with the new standards relative to conformance and performance.
Great. That's a lot of information. I think, one of the things I took away from that is there's a lot of advantage if you're able to do an assessment here in 2024 and not necessarily wait. Whether that's against the 2017 standards or against the new 2024 standards. But, as I talk to CAEs, and I get the opportunity to do that almost every day, there's a lot of questions they have. Where can they turn, besides, calling me, and I'll call you and get that question answered. There's a lot of questions to consider. Where should CAEs be turning for additional information?
Well, the main part, if you go on the IA website in the top right corner, there's the quality page. There's a ton of information on there about quality assessments. In addition, we just issued a new Insights to Quality on talking about quality 2024 and beyond, which is available on the quality page. And it was in LinkedIn too, it was distributed. And they can also contact me at the IA if they have any questions, specific questions that we can talk to them about.
Well, Warren, thank you very much for going through those questions and providing a lot of detail for the members, especially around, performance measures and what you should be doing today and moving forward. I really appreciate it. I think this is a very, very important topic, and I know it's one that's at the forefront of our members' minds. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
New Audit Leaders Network, formerly Executive Membership, is an essential resource for today's CAE. Find solutions for success seekers within one of the 3 membership tiers: Essential, Expanded, and All Access. Benchmark, lead, succeed. Learn more at theIAA.org/executive.
Thank you for joining us for All Things Internal Audit. For more videos and podcasts, including member-only content, visit theIAA.org.